This is the first annual Gashimov Memorial in memory of Grandmaster Gashimov, who passed away recently. This is the first edition, 2014. Great loss to the chess world and to the human world as well, both. He was a really good guy and a great chess talent. He will be missed. It's funny, the good ones seem to go first. Oh well. Hi folks, John Cordisco back again. Round 8, Gashimov Memorial 2014. A memorial for Grandmaster Gashimov, who passed away a few months ago. Between Mamedyarov from Azerbaijan, where they're playing as white, and my buddy from the United States, Karl Nakamura, as black. It's going to be a Slav. Let's go through it. It's a little bit different. G3, that's a little bit different. Normally the move after that is E3 and then bishop F5. After G3, Karl does bishop F5 anyway, which my understanding is the main move here. If D had taken bishop G2, then it's going to be almost impossible to save that pawn. After bishop F5, knight C3, E6, knight to H5. Now that's tough. You're going to have to give up the light squared bishop, but he goes here, and then F3, and then the bishop goes back. Queen is the main line. Queen B6, knight takes, pawn takes, C5. Now what do you do here? I think white's got a little advantage. That doesn't really bother Karl. He gets through the opening to the middle game and he just plays chess. Queen C7, E4, bishop E7. That's a lesson for a lot of us amateur players, especially advanced beginners like myself, is don't worry about opening theory. Just play solid moves and try to do the best you can in the middle game. Bishop F4, hitting the queen. Queen goes to C8. E takes. Interesting, the computer has suggested bishop D6 is an interesting move. After E takes, knight takes, C pawn takes. It's white with a small advantage, a little over half a pawn. I still think black is more than fine here. He's got a good pawn setup. Granted, he's got one less pawn on the queen side. I think black is fine here. White castle's long. Knight C6. King to B1. Typical queen side castling maneuver. Some people call it a grandmaster move. G5, hitting the bishop. Bishop comes back, and then F5. There's no point in having a whole mass of pawns if you're not going to use them. G4. Doesn't look like a Karl's going to castle in this game. The computer suggested H3, then after H3, King F7. After G4, F4, hitting the bishop again. Bishop comes back. King F7. I still think black is very comfortable here. The knight on C6 is in a really good spot. Black's got his good bishop. White does have the bishop pair. That's probably most of the advantage on the computer. Rook D1. B6. Can open it up a little bit on the queen side. Queen A4. Pawn takes. Bishop A6. Let's go back a little bit here. It was a tiny advantage for black. After B takes, the computer liked, not a lot, but it liked D takes C5. Mamedyarov decided to play bishop A6, hitting the queen. Queen to C7. It looks like black's improving the queen. Or white allowed the black to improve the queen for free. Bishop B5. If D had taken rook over, rook E2, and bishop F6, with a pretty good attack going there. After bishop B5, rook B8, rook takes E6. That was the move that surprised the Carl. And that's also the computer's first move. Black's got a small advantage, less than a half a pawn. This also is the computer's move, so you got to give it to Mamedyarov. This is a complicated position. Who would have thought rook takes e6 is the best move? King takes, bishop takes. Black wins the exchange, but his king's out in the open here. We're going to see how it works out for Hikaru. This is a fascinating position. Black's up the exchange, but he has less than a pawn advantage, probably because of his exposed king and the bishop pair. It's going to be interesting how this goes from here. White decides to take. The number one move for the computer here is king to f7, and I kind of agree. Get your king out of danger. Hikaru decides to go bishop f6. Maybe not the most accurate move, but certainly on the short list. Bishop d4. I think after rook to e1, king to f7, b3, a5. And it's a fairly close game there, even though it's a strange position to be sure. Bishop d4, king finally comes back to f7. And this is where I think Mamedyarov stumbles. Bishop takes f6 is the move the computer suggests, and then g takes. Basically an even game. He tries to mix it up a little bit. He goes rook to d1, and it jumped to a 0.75 advantage for black. If bishop had taken, g takes, h4, g takes, rook takes, king takes, queen e5 check, king to a3, queen to c3 check, queen takes, king b2, queen f2, king a3, queen takes, bishop takes. You get the idea now. Did you see that far in advance? After rook to d1, king to f8. And this is where I think another inaccuracy by Mamedyarov. I know why he's doing it. He's trying to get his pawn situated in front of his king for an upcoming attack. But he goes a3, and that jumps dramatically in black's favor, over 2 pawns. Bishop takes, rook takes, queen e5. Now we're on move 30 now. I'm not sure if Mamedyarov was in time trouble or not. Rook to d2, brings the rook back for protection, of course, because we can see what would have been made here. Queen e1 check, rook to d1, queen e2, b4. Now it's getting out of his reach. Queen to c2 was probably the better move there, at least encouraging the change of pawns. b4, queen takes. Now black's up the full exchange now. No pawns for white at all. King to b2, queen takes. Finally, queen to c2. We're on move 35 now. Maybe he was in time trouble, I'm not sure, but moves like that and let those pawns go on. I'm not that surprised if he was. Queen e6, hitting the bishop. Bishop comes back. King moves over. Doesn't want that queen to get down here, I don't think. Frankly. Bishop b3. King all the way over. Out of danger completely, off of this diagonal, that's for certain. You don't want your king on this diagonal, especially with your queen there. c6, which is interesting. Queen at d3 was the computer's choice, and after that, queen f6, queen, rook, queen takes, rook e2 check first, king, check, king to c2, then g takes. I don't think it makes much difference at this point, frankly. Rook to d6, hitting the pawn again. Rook c1, protecting it indirectly. f3, queen c5, queen f6 check. It's just bad news for white here, just bad news. King to a2, f2, C7. Rook comes over to stop the pawn. And what else can you do? Rook to F1. Don't have a choice. And then D4. And the screws are just tightening. H4 for Mamedyarov. Now he's got plenty of time, but unfortunately we're on move 44. And I don't think all the time in the world could save this position. Queen F3. Bishop. Rook hits the queen. Queen takes. Rook takes. And black is just doomed. Rook takes. And a rook takes. And that's where Shakri, I believe he pronounced his name Shakrir, Mamedyarov from Azerbaijan, resigns. Give you an idea what will have happened after that. Rook takes, H takes, Rook G4. You're down a full rook. It's over. Tough break for Mamedyarov. Nice win by Hikaru in a fairly complicated position. A lot more complicated than it looked. I believe at this point, Hikaru's a full point behind the leaders, but they're all bunched up. 3rd through 5th. There's 6 players altogether. It's double round robin, 10 rounds. 3rd through 5th is all bunched up. Just a game behind Carlsen, who drew today against Karyakin. Karyakin played a solid game and drew and didn't give Carlsen much of a chance to even get an advantage at all. Anyway, folks, that's the action from round 8. I hope you enjoyed it. I want to thank all my new subscribers. Thank you very much. I've gotten quite a few in the last month or two. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. And please press the like on my video and subscribe. I'd personally appreciate it. And I want you all to remember, if you think chess is just a game, you're not playing it right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.